Most people quit when they are losing, but some of the smartest people quit when they are still clearly winning. From the outside, that looks strange, because the job is strong, the praise is loud, and the money may be better than ever. But inside that winning moment, the decision can look very different, and success itself can change the whole situation. This is not a law that says smart people always leave at the top, because human behavior never works that neatly. But people with options, foresight, and long-term thinking often walk away while life still looks perfect to everyone else. Today, I will show you why that happens, why success changes the decision, and why quitting can sometimes be the smarter move. Most people imagine quitting as a failure story where the job is going badly and the person finally gives up. That story is easy to understand because the pain is visible, the decline is obvious, and the exit feels forced. But many strategic exits happen at the opposite moment, when the person has status, income, praise, and strong public momentum. That is the first big idea. Visible success can hide a private reason to leave that outsiders do not see. One reason is reward recalibration, which means the brain gets used to rewards that once felt huge and exciting. A promotion can feel life-changing at first, and then a few months later it starts to feel normal. A new title can look like a dream from far away, but the brain quickly turns that dream into the new baseline. More income does the same thing, because the raise that once felt massive stops creating the same emotional signal. Praise fades too, because once praise becomes expected, it stops landing with the same force it had before. In simple words, success often loses its thrill the moment the brain learns to expect it every day. Neuroscience helps explain that pattern because reward systems care a lot about novelty and prediction error. When something good is new and surprising, it hits harder because the brain did not fully expect it. When the same win keeps repeating, the reward becomes predictable and the emotional charge gets flatter over time. So a person can be at the top of their field and still feel strangely empty inside that success. From the outside, people say, "Why would you leave now when everything is finally working so well?" From the inside, the person may think, "This stopped feeling alive a long time ago, and now I can see it." Success also changes something even more practical, and that is the number of doors a person can now open. Early in a career, people often stay because they need money, proof, training, and a name on their resume. Later, after years of strong results, the same person may have savings, contacts, reputation, and more negotiating power. They may also have a track record that can travel with them into a new job, new business, or second act. That changes quitting from a survival crisis into a real choice, and choice changes behavior more than people expect. When you have fewer options, staying feels safer even if the role is draining your energy every day. When you have more options, staying can start to feel expensive in a new and hidden way. That hidden cost is called opportunity cost, and it gets bigger when success gives you more roads to take. At the bottom, people ask, "Can I afford to leave this and still survive what comes next?" At the top, the question can change into something more personal and more powerful than simple survival. The question becomes, what will it cost me if I never try the life I now have the chance to build? That is where success can become a trap, because it can lock a person into protecting an old identity. The role still pays well, still looks good, and still brings applause, but it may no longer fit who they are. A person can stay because the job is bad, but many people also stay because the job is too good. It is hard to leave something that works, even when it is only working for a version of you from years ago. Another useful idea here is exploration versus exploitation, which sounds technical, but is actually very simple in real life. Exploitation means doing more of what already works because it keeps producing money, praise, or status right now. Exploration means testing a new road that may look uncertain today but may lead to more growth later. Early success pushes people toward exploitation because when a system is rewarding you, it feels smart to repeat it. That makes sense for a while, but smart long-term thinkers know that repeating a winning move can eventually flatten out. The danger is not always leaving too soon. Sometimes the danger is staying inside the same winning pattern too long. That is how a career plateau can form, even while the outside world still sees success and prestige. A plateau does not always mean failure, and that point matters because people often use the word too loosely. A plateau can mean mastery without novelty, where you are skilled but no longer learning anything that excites you. It can mean prestige without autonomy, where the title looks impressive, but your freedom keeps getting smaller. It can mean compensation without curiosity, where the money is strong, but your interest is fading month after month. It can mean responsibility without growth, where you carry more weight but do not become more alive doing it. Research on career plateaus links this state to lower engagement, more burnout, and stronger desire to leave. So the person who quits at the top may not be running from failure at all. They may be responding to a future they can already see, where the next 5 years repeat the last 2. That kind of pattern recognition is one reason some high performers leave before decline becomes visible to everyone else. They do not wait for the system to break loudly because they can already hear the quiet part failing. Burnout is another reason peak exits look surprising from the outside and perfectly logical from the inside. Burnout is not just being tired after a hard week or needing one weekend to rest. It usually includes emotional exhaustion, growing cynicism, and a reduced sense that your work still means what it used to. What makes burnout tricky is that high performance can keep going for a long time while burnout is growing underneath. A person can still hit goals, lead teams, win praise, and look sharp while the inner engine is wearing down. That is why some exits seem sudden to coworkers, fans, or friends who only saw the polished outside version. The person did not change in one dramatic weekend. The cost had been building for a long time. Sometimes they leave not because they are weak, but because they finally stop ignoring the damage. Identity makes this even harder, because success teaches other people to describe you in one fixed way. You become the expert, the founder, the star performer, the rainmaker, or the person who always wins. At first, that identity feels flattering because it proves your effort paid off and people finally see your value. Later, that same identity can start to feel like a cage with soft walls and expensive furniture. You are rewarded for staying the same person, even if your values, energy, or curiosity are moving somewhere else. The danger is not only that work becomes boring. The danger is that success freezes you into a smaller self. Some of the smartest exits happen when a person realizes the role is no longer a vehicle. It has become a costume that still fits the audience, but no longer fits the person wearing it. Risk also changes at the top, and this part sounds backward until you think about it clearly. People often assume success makes everyone more careful, more conservative, and more afraid to disturb what already works. Sometimes that is true, but success can also make people bolder because survival panic becomes much smaller. If the savings are stronger, the network is deeper, and the resume is proven, failure hurts less than before. So the person no longer asks only, what if I leave and it goes badly for me? They also ask, what if I stay, and 5 years from now, I regret never using the freedom I earned? That shift in risk tolerance is huge, because it turns quitting from a reckless act into a reasoned one. Leaving at the peak can also protect narrative control, and people care about that more than they admit. If you leave while admired, the story becomes, they chose to move on while they still had power. If you wait until visible decline, the story may become, they lost relevance, they stalled, or they got pushed out. That does not mean every peak exit is cynical image management, but reputation is part of real human decisions. Many people would rather close a chapter 1 page early than 1 page too late. Behavioral economics gives another clear reason, and it centers on sunk costs and escalation of commitment. Sunk costs are things you already spent, like time, effort, identity, education, and years inside one path. Those past investments explain why you got here, but they do not prove you should stay here forever. Yet many people keep staying because leaving would force them to admit the old investment no longer guides the future. Smart quitters are often better at resisting that trap and saying something simple but hard. They say, I respect what I built, but I do not owe my future to my past. Peak performers also get a better look at the hidden machinery behind success, and that changes their feelings about it. From far away, the top of a career can look clean, glamorous, and deeply meaningful. From inside, it may include politics, narrowing creativity, constant performance pressure, travel fatigue, public scrutiny, and ethical compromises. It may also bring diminishing meaning, where the rewards keep growing, but the work feels thinner every year. That inside view can break the spell, because the mountain looks different once you actually live on it. Some people quit because they finally understand the machine well enough to stop worshiping it. Values can change too, and this is one of the most human reasons of all. A person may want more family time, better health, geographic freedom, quieter work, or a second act. They may want mornings that feel calmer, travel that feels chosen, or work that fits their conscience better. The goal they chased at 25 may not fit the person standing there at 45. So the exit is not always rejection of success. Sometimes it is an update to personal values. The strange part is that success often gives people the power to act on those values for the first time. That is why quitting at the peak can be less about escape and more about honesty. Still, this pattern needs caution because not every peak exit is wise or admirable or well-timed. Some people leave too early and discover that they overestimated how transferable their success really was. Some confuse boredom with completion, even though boredom might call for rest, learning, or redesign instead of quitting. Some are burned out, not finished, and what they need is recovery before making a huge life choice. Many people also stay at the top for decades and continue growing in real ways. They keep finding novelty, new goals, deeper meaning, and healthier ways to carry success without feeling trapped by it. And the phrase smart people is not a scientific category with one exact rule attached to it. The better frame is that people with options, foresight, and tolerance for uncertainty can make this move more easily. So the real lesson is not quit the moment you are winning, because that would be shallow and careless advice. The real lesson is to notice how success changes the decision environment around you. When rewards become normal, options expand, plateaus appear, burnout hides, and identity hardens, staying can become the risky choice. That is the paradox at the center of this whole topic. Average quitting is often reactive, but strategic quitting is often anticipatory. One happens after visible failure, while the other happens before hidden decline turns into visible damage. If you want a practical way to think about your own life, start with one blunt question. Is your current success still creating growth, or is it mainly asking you to maintain what you already built? That question matters because maintenance can look glamorous while quietly starving your curiosity, energy, and future direction. Next, separate fatigue from completion, because those are not the same thing at all. Fatigue says you may need rest, support, and recovery before making a serious decision. Completion says the chapter gave you what it could, and now staying may only repeat the same pattern. Then audit opportunity cost, not just salary, title, or public praise. Ask what staying is preventing, not only what staying is preserving. Watch identity very carefully too, because being known for something is not the same as being fulfilled by it. And remember that strategic quitting is not the opposite of ambition in any simple sense. In many cases, it is ambition redirected before decline, burnout, or fear makes the choice for you. So when smart people leave while they are still winning, the deeper story is usually not random or impulsive. It is often the first moment they can afford to be honest about what success now costs. If this way of thinking hit home for you, watch my next psychology video on how success changes motivation over time.